Here we are at the Hanged Man card. The Hanged Man card is a card that kind of represents the Knights of Templar being tortured by the Pope and the Cardinals, especially the older decks show that as the signature. So the Cathars believed that they were the true blood of Christ, and this card indicates the message of Peter, because Peter was the disciple of Christ that denied the Lord 3 times. So they asked him, "Are you a disciple of the Lord?" And he said no. And they asked him 3 times and he said no. And then when they finally caught him and he had to admit that he did not want to be crucified right side up because he had denied the Lord 3 times, and so he asked to be crucified upside down. So this card represents where you deny your own beliefs, you deny what's true, where you allow other people's beliefs to entrap you or to get you stuck. So when you look at this card, the snake of life is tying his foot to the ankh. And so there's this one side of him that is tied and attached to his old belief systems that are related to religion and spirituality and what he was told was true. Then you see the second snake, which is the snake of death, underneath his head. And in this case, the snake of death says that his wisdom is coiled and sleeping, and he is out of touch with his own innate wisdom. So here he is, trapped between life and death, caught in a place of suffering. His beliefs are keeping him in one place, and yet he knows deep in his own wisdom that something needs to die in order for there to be some sort of transformation. So he's really trapped. You also see tons of little boxes, and the boxes are indications of all the thoughts that we have and all the ways we limit ourselves, and I can't do this and I can't do that, and that person's depending on me. And so all the ways that we ensnare ourselves or trap ourselves with our thoughts, because the mind is an endless maze, and the mind will keep going and going and going regardless of what your wisdom will even tell you sometimes. You also see that his hair has been cut off. And if you remember in the story of Samson and Delilah, when Samson's hair was cut off, he lost all of his strength. And so here is this man who has been trapped in between these 2 worlds, between life and death, is caught in suffering. He's lost his strength. He's lost his wisdom. He doesn't know what to do. And there's an innate vulnerability with this. But when you have this type of vulnerability, there's also a type of death, like a type of ego death that actually can happen. So, and his hands are nailed to 3 discs. And so how sometimes it's money, it's the discs, it's the material world that ensnares us and entraps us within our beliefs. But yet 3 is a very spiritual number, and 3 is a magical number. So when the 3 is showing up, it's extremely positive. It's really good. So this is a card that says that there's kind of redemption through sacrifice, but you are going to have to sacrifice something. And there's a sense of failure, and there's a sense of defeat, and there's this sense that you have to let something go, and yet it's going to be a painful process. So whenever we're dealing with the dark trumps, it's like a sword that goes into the fire multiple times. And this is one of the first heavy dark trumps. And so this is that first test, like you're going to be tested in your beliefs, tested on what you understand is true. Are those beliefs actually in alignment or congruent with your own wisdom, your own body wisdom? So when somebody gets this card, I ask them, how are you with your spiritual beliefs? Where are you at with that? Are you feeling like those beliefs are limiting, entrapping you, or are they inspiring you and allowing you to feel a greater expression of freedom? So this is a fabulous card, but there's an innate vulnerability and fear when this card kind of shows up.